Sorry to interrupt.
What's going on?
Look, this is none of my business. Well, actually, it is, seeing as I'm about to do myself out of the best lifeguard that Summer Bay's ever had.
Sorry?
Your nephew. I want you to think about what you're doing to him.
What exactly am I doing to him?
That boy loves you so much. He would never put himself first.
What's this about, John?
Don't ruin Nick's chance of happiness just because of what's going on between you and Felicity. That's all I wanted to say.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Hello, Sophie. Homer's made you cry yet this week?
Yeah, it did a bit actually. Yeah, got a
welling
little bit
up.
teary. Yeah, a bit sad. How about you?
All the emotions. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a bittersweet week, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's been some things I've been sopping happy at, and some things I've been a bit sad at. But it's been a roller coaster of a week on Home and Away this week, hasn't it? And it's going to be a roller coaster of a pod, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, it will after last week. Last week was a bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it? So let's see
Bit
how
of a
this
marathon.
one. Have to see how this one pans out. So bear with us, guys.
Oh, how's your week been then? A good week?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been super busy. I've barely had time to be on social media and I've not been on the Instagram or the Twitter that much, but I suppose it's gone faster this week than last week. How about you?
You don't do the tweet.
I don't do the tweet.
Yeah, my week's been great. Yes, and I'm off next week, so I'm in
holiday
proper
mode.
Yeah, I'm in proper Hollybobs mode tonight. You know, where you're just bouncing around the house singing.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, you know that Friday feel.
Yes, I've got the bank holiday feels because obviously we've got Monday off. But yeah, I'm jealous of your week. That sounds amazing.
We've got 2 bank holidays, remember?
Yes,
One the
we
week
have.
after.
Yeah.
God save the king.
Oh, they're in my calendar. Don't worry. Yes, all the flags went up. So I live in a village, and I was away for work this week. And when I came home last night, all the flags have been put up on all the like the lampposts. So it was like a little parade for me. They do like a village street party. They did one for the the Jubilee, the Platyjubes, or whatever people will call it. Yeah. Whatever people call it. They did it last time with that. So it was like a little parade when I was coming to the village last night. I was like driving down and all these flags were greeting me and I was like, oh, hello.
Did we do the wave out the window?
I was a bit like, oh, hi.
How do you do?
It's nice to be welcomed home in such a regal fashion. Yeah.
They're probably, they've heard they've got a podcast queen.
Obviously.
In town.
Yeah. About time.
So you're going to be attending the old street party, or are you just going to be in bed on a bank holiday?
I haven't even thought about it, I'll be honest. I haven't even given it, that's terrible, isn't it? I haven't given it a thought. I'm not massively into the whole monarchy thing. No, I'm not anti them. I'm just meh about it, really.
Yeah, but we're into days off, aren't we? I'd just rather not have forced fun with neighbours.
Yeah. Most of my neighbours are like ancient because it's a little old village, so they can't even hear me when I talk to them anyway. They're like, "You what? You what?" Screaming all day.
That's the best neighbours to have, definitely.
I've got a parcel for you. What? Parcel. That's about the limit of the conversations I have with the neighbours, I'll be honest.
Better than mine. The less I say about that, the better we'll be here all day. That's another podcast in itself.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so street parties aside, extra day off aside, it's going to be a good week next week. I can feel it. And I'll just have all the pyjama days for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll live vicariously through you. So you tell me
Thank
what
you.
you're watching on Netflix so that I can catch up later.
No, I've got a whole list of things to do. Like I'm stripping
Oh,
wallpaper.
really?
Like I've got,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
but if none of it's been achieved by Tuesday, it's not gonna. I'm not. If I've not started it by then, it's not happening, is it? So we'll see how we
That's
go.
true.
We'll see how
Yeah,
we go. We'll see how we go. Right. Do you want your headlines?
I do.
It's fight or flight for Gabe with his cancer diagnosis, and after a nudge from Mac, he's made a decision. Justin confronts Ava after finding out she's Theo's donut sending stalker. Nick has a proposition for Bella, but comes up against some stiff opposition. And flicks off the grog just in time for Lyric's big comeback gig. But not everything is smooth sailing.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.
So Mac and Gabe, they're pacing around town, trying not to worry whilst they wait for his results from these elusive tests that he had to have, that he wasn't going to have, that Mac made him have. Then he wanted them, and now he's regretting them and still doesn't want treatment at this stage. So I'm all a bit like struggling to buy into his worry, really, because I'm like, you weren't going to have them yesterday. You're only having them really because Mac wants you to. And I didn't see you have them, and I'm very suspicious.
Yeah.
So they're they're making plans. They're talking about going to the mountains. Taking their mind. When stuff's going down, you always talk about holidays, don't you? And things you're going to do, and take your mind off things. They were well in that mode, weren't they? Very good distraction for him while they await, and which I'm sure felt like a lifetime ago. He gets a phone call. Finally, he takes it outside. She follows him out there, and he's in a bit of a hot mess, isn't he? The cancer's back. He's had the news over the phone. The cancer's back, and Max. It's in his bones. It's everywhere. There's nothing they can do. It's too late. Nothing will work. There's no. I'm snookered. Can't do anything.
How are you feeling about this? I'm sure you've got stuff to say.
Well, I'm sure you know, really. I don't know whether this has been. We've said this online in the week. I don't know whether you would receive that kind of information over a phone call, right? That would definitely be a leaflet in a room. Here's a leaflet. Back in a minute. Type conversation with a doctor, isn't it? We didn't even see the phone call.
No.
We didn't. I'm not. I'm very suspicious about Gabe's intentions. Still, he's not. You said last week the way he's being written, or the way he's going about this as a character, doesn't really instill trust in us as the audience. And this to me just adds to my argument that he's come back for the wrong reasons. And a Mac. I'm just looking at Mac now thinking, wake up, girl, smell the coffee. What about you?
Yeah, the same really, same as you. I mean, we've had like a discussion online with quite a few people this week about, would anybody get told they're terminal via a phone call? No. And not just that, but any excuse to get to the hospital, and we're there, aren't we? We're always in the hospital.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So we've not seen him get the tests. We've not seen him go in and get the results. The hospital is still there. That set is used a lot. Why have we not seen any of this stuff? We saw him go originally and see Bree, didn't we? And she said, "Oh, your bloods have come back and look a bit dodgy." But why have we not gone back there? Why is Bree not involved again? It's all very odd. Like you, I'm not feeling this storyline. I'm not quite sure whether it's the way it's been written or whether we're supposed to be suspicious, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How are you leaning? Are you leaning to he's making it up? Or are you leaning a bit further away from that, but just don't think it's sitting right?
I'm just confused. I think something's not right, and I can't put my finger on whether it's the way that it's been written and whether that's been done on purpose, whether it's been rushed, or whether we are supposed to be suspicious, because we've not actually seen anything to be suspicious about, have we? So I don't really know how to feel or think.
Well, I think the fact we've not seen anything is suspicious.
Ah,
Honestly, at this stage, he's shown me no proof
yeah,
that he ever had this is an awful thing to say because it's such a serious disease and it affects many of us, right? We've all
yes,
been touched
yeah,
by it at some point. So I don't mean to sound flippant, I really don't. I'll caveat what I'm about to say with that, but we don't actually know. We've only got his word that he had it anyway.
yeah,
We've now only got his word that it's back
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's so serious. And even when, because Mac's there, she's begging him to do the treatment. She's, I've just got you back. We've got all this time that we missed together. She goes through the denial bit first, doesn't she? She's like, I want to spend every minute with you, and he's saying things like, oh, I know what these minutes look like and I don't think I can do it. And yada, yada, yada.
yeah.
And finally they land on getting a second opinion and doing the treatment, and he says, well, I'll make the calls. Do you know that moment where Mac's like, I need to get a second opinion, I'll ring round, but he's like, no, I'll do it. And I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Another week where I hope I'm wrong about it, but like I'm just I don't think it's true. I mean, what's the alternative? She then watches him die after reconciling with him after all these time. I mean,
I
it's
know.
not.
Then why
It's lose-lose,
bring him back?
isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really odd character to sort of write in now, isn't it? Because if he is going to die, why bring him back just to put Mac through that? I don't get where we're going with this. I think I'm the same as you, but I kind of do believe that he had it in the past because I don't think he'd lie to. When he went to the hospital, had those tests, and after he got hit by the surfboard,
Yeah.
and she said, "Oh, your bloods came back a bit dodgy. Is there anything I need to know?" And he told her, didn't he? He said, "Oh, I've just come off chemotherapy. I've been in remission for a year." I don't know whether he would lie to a doctor about that because that's a very easy lie to unpick as a doctor because she can just go and look through his medical records. So
True.
I do believe that he has had it in the past, but I don't really know what's going on right now and what I believe. I don't know what I believe right now because I just feel like this is a bit odd.
Yeah, I'd probably like you. I'd have a bit more reassurance if perhaps we'd seen him at the hospital. Maybe
Yeah.
even Bree was involved, in some way, delivering some news or whatever. To me, that's a gaping missing piece of the puzzle.
It's odd, isn't it? The only thing I can think of is that maybe they've had to rush this bit for some reason. Maybe Bree wasn't available when they filmed these scenes, so there was no hospital scene. I don't know. Something doesn't feel right about the way they've chosen to film these.
Oh, he's dodgy.
Yeah, he could well be dodgy. He could well be dodgy.
And all the while the damage is being done to Mac, right? Whichever way we look at it, if it's true, if it's genuine, Mac's damage, Mac's hurt. If it's not, Mac's going to be hurt, and like I say, it's lose, and she does confide in Dean a bit about it, doesn't she? And again, reminding us what an amazing sibling dynamic they have. They are so good, and they're just so tight together. I've always loved Mac and Dean, the way they've lent on each other over the years. And then Gabe has come while Dean's spending some time with Mac and comforting her and trying to work her through that. Gabe's come to the farm, hasn't he? Looking for her, and Ziggy's there on her own, and she's with Babby or whatever, and gets him a water and a chat, doesn't she? And sort of shares her story about her mum, and I think that helped humanize him a little bit throughout this. What we've described as a bizarre story. Because she's like, I know what you're up against. I've been there, I've done it, and if you're doing it for Mac, she can handle the fight. And it's Ziggy talking to him ultimately that made him change his mind on it, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Because what she went through with her mum and how well she knows Mac now, because obviously Gabe's been out of Mac's life for 4 years. He doesn't really know everything she's been through in that last 4 years. She's been through quite a lot since she moved to Summer Bay. And obviously Ziggy's seen all that, hasn't she? So she's able to fill in that context and say, if you think she's weak, think again. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, was that the right thing to do? I don't know. Like, I just finding it really strange how quickly how quickly everyone's embracing Mac and Gabe being back together after everything that happened and everything we've been told. Like I said last week, I just want to hear some stories where he's not a dick, and then maybe I'll drop it. But I haven't heard any yet. So...
Yeah, true that. Now all this has got Dean and Ziggy thinking a bit now, about life being too short and all the rest of it. And they've decided that Jai should meet Izzy.
Yes.
Which I don't know if it was just a me or an oversight of mine. I would have assumed it would have happened by now. I mean, how old is he now? Is she younger than I think?
It's only about 3 weeks, is it?
Or is it? Feels like about 3 months.
I don't know. It might be a month. It's not been that long. But I thought they had Jai every other weekend, so you'd think he would have been there by now. Because didn't Mac have this arrangement where she said, "You can have the nursery and I'll have Jai's room, but on every other weekend I'll move out and go to the motel." And then she hasn't been doing that because she's been staying with Gabe, hasn't she? So.
Yep, and there was the whole hoo-ha about changing Jai's bedroom.
Yeah, I assumed that because Mac was now, spending so much time with Gabe, that Jai would have been there. Because we hear that Jai's visited, but we never see it, do we? So we don't actually know how regularly. But we are, we're led to believe that Jai's there a lot. We just don't see it.
Yeah, we are. So again, that's another little thing that was a bit like that's not quite. That doesn't quite fit right, with what we know.
Yeah.
But I suppose people aren't watching it as close as we are sometimes. We have said that a few times over the years. We've been doing the podcast. And anyway, they've agreed that Jai and Izzy are going to meet and that this little family get together. And we fast forward a bit later in the week, and then because Dean's been trying to get a hold of Amber to set up this meeting of his little sister, and she's not been answering the phone. And finally, she's got back to him, and she's announced that she's actually moved across the country.
Yeah.
She's moving. She's already got a place to rent. Yeah. Is Queensland the one that you said nobody comes back from?
Yes, because Brisbane's in Queensland, and when people move to Brisbane, they don't come back on the show normally.
Yeah, it's a bit final. So that has absolutely pulled the rug from under Dean right away, hasn't it? It's shook him to the core, really, because he's just it's happening, and I think he feels helpless to stop it. Amber's got this great job, Ziggy says herself, good for her. I'm glad she's doing well. But it's 21 hours drive away without a stop.
Yeah, it's pretty far, isn't it?
It's a bit crap, that, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Like I say, you have to suspend belief about the whole Jai thing, because we never see Jai anymore. He used to be on the show quite regularly, didn't he? But we haven't seen him on the show for a while, but we are led to believe that Dean sees him quite often. So for him to not be in Dean's life that often, it is going to be a huge change for him, isn't it? So I do feel for them that they're going through this. But
and Ziggy's lawyering up, and she's she's going ballistic about it. She's phoning Amber and playing Eck, and there's it's all starting to kick off a bit. And then there's this lovely scene. Did you see the scene? Sort of, was it the end of tonight's episode? And Dean has got Izzy in his arms, and he's looking at the fridge. The pictures that Jai's on, and he's talking to Izzy, and Ziggy's listening, isn't she, from around the corner, and she's realizing that I think what she's realizing is that he can't be away from both his children.
No.
So it's sounding like we're at that point.
I know. Well, we knew
they're
this
going to make a decision,
didn't we? We knew that this was coming because we mentioned this last week, didn't we? Was it on First Look? I think we talked about the spoiler that's coming up soon, and you said it was imminent, and I was like, what? We can't be that close to it, but you're right. It looks like it's going to be next week that this storyline concludes, I think.
So fast. Do you think they're going to up sticks? So fast.
Well, yeah, that's what you said, because we were talking last week about episode numbers and where we are, and we keep a little eye on Ozpace because we hear bits and pieces, don't we? And I think you said that it's fairly soon, isn't it? This departure date.
It is.
So,
I was basing it on an event that's happening this weekend.
oh right, okay, yes.
And the timing of such scheduling, but
Yeah.
the look, if you can make New York happen in a minute, like
Yes,
what's
let's go on to
Queensland?
that. Yeah.
What's Queensland? Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and this is Soapland. Things can just happen, you know.
Mm.
So it's feeling very end of an era at the moment on Home and Away, and this is all, especially when it comes to Dean and Ziggy, you know, and their J word. I think it's going to be. It's already been a roller coaster week, and I think we're in for more, as you say, in the coming days.
I think it's going to feel a bit strange for the next couple of weeks, isn't it? Because with Nico just going this week, and then with the Diggy thing coming to the conclusion next week, I think it's going to feel a little bit odd for.
It all feels like everything's tying up. I can't quite. I'm trying to describe what it's feeling like right now. You know, there's a lot happening at once, and it's all concluding things all at once.
It's all starting and concluding in the same week, though, isn't it? It's like Bella returned, and then Nick's leaving. That's happened in the same week. So with the Diggy thing, you know, we find out that Amber's got this new job, and then we think that they're departing next week. Again, within a week's turnaround, a storyline has started and ended. It's very odd. I'm feeling a bit discombobulated with it, but
it's a lot to take in, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, especially if you. Not everyone watches it live and things as well these days. It's 2023. Some people sort of save a couple of it and bang out. Imagine if you banged a couple of eps out back to back on one night, and like the characters returned and left again.
Yes,
in one sitting.
Or
really.
if you missed yesterday's episode, sorry, where Nico leaves, and then you tune in the next night and he's gone, you'd be like, well, where's Nico? Why have we never seen him again? You wouldn't know.
I know, but that's why we don't need a title sequence, and we have 2-minute recap every night.
That's true.
The day before. Let's not start that debate.
Just in case you missed it, FYI, this character left yesterday. Yeah, no warning.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit more in depth about their leaving, being as though we're on it. So John's dropping Bella off, isn't he, at the airport, and which I thought was cute. And it's her final day around the bay, really, isn't it? And there's, you know, Irene's planning a party and a send-off, and there's all this sort of stuff. And she basically asks Nick, doesn't she? You know, she meets up with him. You know, he's feeling a bit sensitive, I think, about the whole thing. And if you remember, they've sort of reconciled their breakup. In last week's episode, last week's podcast, we covered their reconciliation when she arrived back in town, and actually quite quickly, things sort of looked like they were turning back on their head again. She gives him these photographs that she'd taken. Remember, she's a photographer, and she used to take loads of photographs of Nika that I used to find really, really awkward all the time. And they're better off with you. You know, and he takes that like she doesn't want these with her, so she wants to erase all memory of me. Oh my God, you know, like, she doesn't love me, because obviously he never lost feelings for her. He, in his eyes, was protecting her by breaking up with her. So it's a bit like, oh, we're here again. We're back on we're flipped again. You know, we just got somewhere with these two. You know.
Yep. Yeah. It's always going to be back and forward with these two, though. I think that's part of who they are. That's part of their relationship, isn't it? That they. Yeah. It's always going to be will they, won't they, with them, even when they're together. I think. Yeah, they're quite volatile, aren't they? I find them quite volatile as a couple.
Yeah, they've definitely been fiery over the years. And Bella's, as a result of this, Bella's not really feeling this leaving party that Irene has been planning.
Not
And
even the
she's
Lamingtons,
not even the Lamingtons.
which I had to Google.
So
I was like, what on earth is a Lamington? It looks quite nice though. It's like chocolate cake rolled in like desiccated coconut, isn't it?
yeah, it looks great.
Looks
I tell you,
great.
Marilyn's packing her off to the plane with loads of them.
Vegemite.
Oh, that was it. It was Vegemite sandwiches, not the Lamingtons. Yeah.
Vegemite.
Yeah, we've had enough Vegemite last week. Vegemite chit chat. Now she bites Irene's head off about it, doesn't she? She's like, I don't want it. And she bites her about the coffee cart. You know that scene I'm talking about. And Irene goes, okay, girly, what's going on? Sits her down, you know, and you know, she said it's hard to say bye all over again. So Irene's really like, and I felt for Irene in this bit because she said, I missed out on saying bye to you last time. Remember, Irene was on one of her disappearing trips.
Yeah.
So she's like, it sort of got scaled down to a cuppa in the diner, didn't it? You know, which was a bit more low key. And then meanwhile, this is all happening. They're both forlorn. They're both really sad about it, but they're separately sad. So Bella's all sad with Irene and the girls at the diner and bringing them down, and Nick's out at sea staring into sea like you do when you're miserable. And they're all thinking, you just like bang your heads together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I knew it was going to happen. Good old John, you know, comes up to him on the beach. He's such a great sounding board, John. He's such a valuable character. We've said it over and over and over and over and over again how valuable he is to the other characters on the show, John. You know, confides in him about it, and basically tells Bella, you know, that she's done with, you know, dodging him. You know, made her feel awful about, all the leaving him and the pictures and everything. So Bella's like really upset about it, isn't she? Because John's, basically exposed Bella there. You know, you've made him feel bad. You know, you've got the wrong end of the stick, basically. So Bella drops everything, runs over to Casa Parata, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, losing my train of thought halfway through talking. She basically runs over to Casa Parata after hearing from John that he's had to obviously give him loads of advice. Gets there and is like, you idiot. You know, I wasn't avoiding you. I was just trying to not say bye to you again, you fool. Let's sleep together.
That's the best way to say goodbye,
this?
right? It's the best way to say goodbye, isn't it? To jump into bed together. I don't know. I don't know where that was. Why not? Literally, yeah. Why not? This was again one of these storylines where it's like we were just talking about. It's just gone so fast. It's escalated, hasn't it? Really quickly. Like she came home to see Izzy, and in the meantime, she's got back together with Neek. He's told all the bikey stuff. They've spent the night together, and now, you know, they want to spend the rest of their lives with each other. So it's all happened in the space of like 2 days, hasn't it? It's been a bit of a whirlwind. I do think it's a good. If Nico had to leave, you know, this is probably the best way for him to go, I think, with this storyline with Bella coming back. I think I'm happy with the resolution. I'm happy that he got to explain to her, you know, what he did for her, you know, the protecting from the bikies. He dumped her over that horrible video call that we weren't happy with, but we've now seen them talk about it. He's explained it to her. So I think for me, I'm kind of glad that that's all been wrapped up quite nicely. It's been wrapped up very quickly. Probably too quickly, but I've quite enjoyed these scenes, seeing them get back together and seeing the conclusion of Neek and Bella growing up.
Good
really.
Closure. Yeah, we've got a good closure from it, hasn't it? I'm really loving that she's come back and tied it up. You know, I think imagine the alternative and Neeks leaves, and then that whole the year, like you said, the will they won't they, the fiery volatile relationship, everything we've gone through and invested in them. And bearing in mind Bella's growth that we spoke about at length last week as well.
Yeah.
You know, imagine all that just being wasted on that video call dumping that was just. Do you know what I mean? So that always to me felt like unfinished business, and I'm
It
glad.
did. Yeah.
I'm glad that Bella came back for it, that the actress agreed to it, and
Yeah.
I have thoroughly, however quick it's been, I've thoroughly enjoyed having her back on my screen again.
Yeah.
I really, I genuinely mean that. You know, if you'd have
Yeah.
heard me when she first joined the show, but you know, it's funny
Yeah.
how much you can change your opinion, and we've said it with many characters, how you go on it with them and it changes your opinion of them.
Absolutely.
And Bella was one of my favorite, and I was gutted when she left the first time. So I was a bit raw this week, knowing that this is only she was coming back for a purpose, you know.
Yeah.
So I was watching her this week, and with a bit of sort of brace position, because
You
I
knew it
knew
was
I was
going to happen.
upset. Yeah. And then how it happened, you know, they've slept together. The next morning, he's said, "I'm coming now. Nothing's stopping me," but he's got to run it past Tani. And of course, Tani's in a whole heap of pain at the minute with his Felicity breakup going on. We'll talk about more in a moment. But of course, he lashes out and says, "No, you know, women, you can't, in not so many words, like, what happens when it all goes wrong and you're in New York and look at me and I thought I had it all." And I'm just thinking, it's the worst time, Nick, to get your girl. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
I think
obviously
Tani was fair.
Tane's very down on love, isn't it? Did he say something about you can only trust yourself, or the only person you can trust is yourself? He's talking from a place of hurt, isn't he? I mean, if you asked him 2 weeks ago when he was all loved up and, you know, wanting to get married and everything else, he'd have had a different outlook, wouldn't he? He'd have gone, life's too short, be with the one you love, you know.
Go for it, boy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's obviously hurting. I mean, I'm glad that we have got him leaving this way, because imagine if they killed him off. Imagine Tane then, you know, or imagine if they sent him packing back to New Zealand. Or I think this way, I know it's painful for Tane, but at least this way he knows that Neek's going to New York to be with the person he loves and have that happy ever after. So he is hurting him, isn't it? Because like Tani said, he's the last man standing, isn't he? He not bought the house, but he leased that house when he came to the Bay, because we'll talk about it in You'll Stay on the Bay later. But the Paritas came to the Bay, they were sleeping in their car, weren't they? And they had loads of problems, money problems mainly. And then Tane kind of swooped in a bit later and started renting this house for them. They all moved in there, and that's how they got their roots. And now he's the last one turning the lights off, isn't he, basically? So a bit sad.
Again, this only adds to this whole end of an era thing. Regardless of what we think of Neek and what he's been up to in his time in the Bay, he is a vital member of that pack. You know, like they came together. You know, they came as one, and the anguish that's happened since they arrived, you know, it's bittersweet, is what we said at the beginning of the episode, and I think that's how I feel about it. I'm happy for Neek and Bella. I'm like gushing like happiness for them, but I'm also a bit sad because now Tane's already down and out. He's lashing out, but you know, you can't trust anyone. He does come round after yet again another good old chat. Well, a bit of a ticking off from John, actually.
Yeah.
Because John gets wind, doesn't he, that Tane has said to him, "You're not going." Like, you can't, and Neek's got to be said to go and tell Bella, who's on cloud nine, telling everyone he's coming. And he's had to go and tell her in the diner that, you know, I can't come, Tane needs me, you know. And John's overheard it, and he's marched round there and he said, "Listen, look what you're doing to that nephew of yours." You know, and I thought, he needed that ticking off from John, didn't he?
He did. He needed it from someone, and I don't actually know who else would have been able to get through to him. I think John was the perfect person for that conversation, especially because, as John said, you know, I'm losing, you know, an employee, not just a friend.
Yeah.
Because I work with Neek every day. I don't want, you know, John doesn't want Neek to go, but he wants the best for Neek, and he can separate the two. So I think him being able to do that and show Tane, look, I don't really want him to go, but I do want him to do what he wants to do and for him to be happy. So I think you need to think about what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
change your mind, basically. So I
Yeah.
think it was good in that way, that it wasn't just a nosy neighbour coming around for a chat, but he was making it personal about him as well, how much he would miss Neek, but actually it's for Neek's benefit, really.
Yeah, and Nick and John have been a great little double act at the
They
surf.
have.
You know,
Yeah.
can't forget about that either. And that relationship with Nick and John's been I've enjoyed that. You know, it's
Me
been really
too.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think the only other person who could have possibly ever done it was Ari.
Mm.
You know, I think Tane would have listened to Ari. I think Ari would have made him see a bit of sense and would have helped pull him out of his funk.
Yeah.
But I think the little sharp but comforting shock from John was just what he needed, because then everyone's waved Bella off. She's back to the Big Apple. Irene telling her to give the Yanks a run for their money, whatever it was she said. You show those Yanks. And Nink's come home and there's Tane with the passport. Life's too short. It's never too late. Get your shoes on, we'll go in. And he just looks around, doesn't he, and goes, I'm ready. And I was like, oh, I was honest. This is like, I shouldn't really admit this. I was gone at this stage. I was like, catcher.
I think I was too over analysing this scene to I didn't get emotional until he actually caught up with Bella later on. But during this scene, I was like, right, okay, so has he got a ticket for this flight? Has he got the money to go? Has he got a visa? He hasn't packed his own bag. So when at the airport they say, have you packed your own bag? And you say no.
Oh gosh, you're so romantic.
No, I don't know what's in my bag. I don't know what I'm taking. I don't know what's in my bag. You know, I've got one suitcase that apparently has my whole life in it, and he doesn't even know what's in there. I was just like, really? So I probably ruined it by overthinking it for myself, but there we go.
Yeah, that was the emotional, romantic moment. Let's go. Are you ready? That was the one. What are you doing?
I'd just be fuming. If someone else had packed my suitcase, I'd be like, what's in here? What have you put in there? If you just put like... I don't look like an idiot in New York with, like, you know, a big jacket and some shorts. I want a decent outfit. What have you packed me? So I overthought it all. I was like, where's your visa, Nick? I've been to America. It took ages to get my visa.
Yeah. So even your Esther just to visit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let alone live and work there.
Working visa.
Impossible.
A month at least. Yeah.
Let's just roll with it. You know, we're used to it. But that for me, that was better than the scene where they caught up. John taking the scenic route to the airport. I mean, where is this airport?
Yeah, that's a good point. Where is the nearest airport? It must be Sydney, mustn't it? I don't know.
We filmed at the airport before,
but not for a while.
No, yeah, not for ages. But I mean, there'd definitely be a bigger road than that to it.
You'd think so.
Driving through a farm or something.
I think it was on the way to the wedding, you know, the other week.
John, yeah.
It's the same road, I think.
Filmed it on the set. I thought John knows a shortcut here. Like, Tane knows he knows it. Caught up to him, swap cars, and off they drive into the sunset. Thank you for leaving Summer Bay. Oh no.
Aww.
You are now leaving Summer Bay. Drive safely. Drive safely, because everybody crashes after this sign.
Watch out for kangaroos. Oh dear. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's when I started to get a bit choked up, because you know when they had that conversation as Tane's putting Nico's bag in the car, and he says the same thing to Tane as Tane said to Nico, because when Nico got back to the house, the scene that I ruined for myself by overthinking it, I think Nico says something like, it's too late, it's already gone, and Tane says it's never too late, and then Nico says it back to Tane, doesn't he, when he's leaving? He goes, remember, it's never too late. And obviously he's talking about Flick, isn't he? He's talking about that.
Foreshadowing
a
reconciliation there with Flick and Tane, I think.
Definitely. That's when I started to get choked up. That I'll be honest, because I didn't get choked up at the suitcase scene, but when they when they were leaving. That's what, and they're playing the music. You know, the music that starts to pull on your heartstrings. They play that
I
over the top.
I know.
It's
It
like,
gets me every time.
yeah.
I think I snorted my coffee or something. Like honestly, every time. Yeah, there's not more else I can say. It was like
No.
happiness, sadness, all rolled into one
Yeah.
on that one. So yeah. Right. So Justin, he wants to know, the whole Ava disappearance thing won't happen again, doesn't he? You know, he wants some reassurance from old Ava there. A tracking app on their iPhone, he suggested at one point. Well, I thought it's not a bad idea actually,
No.
given the situation.
Just
And
plant an AirPod on her when she goes out. That's what I would do.
oh gosh,
Just slip an AirPod in the back pocket. She'll never know. Be fine.
you've just reminded me of where I used to work.
Oh yeah.
Someone caught her husband having an affair by putting a phone in his work van and then following it on the find the phone thingy.
Oh my God, Agatha Christie. Jeez. That's quite sad though, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
It's
it
quite...
was a good week at work though. Good gig goss that week.
Well, yeah, gossip. But for her, that's awful.
It was, yeah. But
What a way to find out. Gosh, yeah.
been telling her for years before it.
Oh no.
We're all like, are you sure he's not playing away? Yeah, that's really insensitive. But yeah, it was yeah. So it does happen. People do track each other down. To do nothing's untraceable these days. Kirby, she lets Theo know about the whole scrapbook thing, doesn't she?
Yes.
She's got something to tell you. I know who your stalker is. I thought we'd be calling a stalker all of a sudden. She was a fan. She was a fan the other week.
Well, I think she is a stalker now, isn't she? Like, she's sent stuff to his house and now she's turned up at his house and won't leave him alone.
Is she a stalker?
Isn't that stalking? Like being obsessed with someone, following them?
Stalking's like diving in, behind bushes and
I don't think
following
that's
them.
I think the definition of stalking is quite wide now because it covers a lot of behaviour that's obsessive.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. She's obsessive. Is that all the same umbrella of stalk?
I think so. It's just unwanted surveillance, isn't it? Normally, just unwanted attention.
Is she surveilling him though? I think she's infatuated by him. But is she watching, following him? She wants to spend a lot of time with him. Am I just being silly?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think stalker's a bit of a strong accusation.
What would you call it then? Just obsessive fan?
Yeah, I think she's infatuated by him. I think she's one of these young girls who stand really, really hard about their favourite pop star or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And they live, breathe, and eat, sleep their favourite pop star. And she's just infatuated. And he's within reach. He happens to be part of the family. And
yeah, I suppose it's that bit that makes it not relatable. I can relate to the whole being obsessed with a pop star thing. I think everyone can at some point. But you don't send stuff to their house. You don't go and live with them. You don't lie on their bed wearing their dirty laundry.
You're making that sound way more speedy than it was.
That's what she did.
She did smell it as well, yeah.
She did go in his room, put his shirt on, take pictures of herself on his bed.
Yeah, okay, that does sound a bit stalkery.
It's not normal.
I just thought a stalker was like follow the person. Whether it be online or.
I think that's what it normally means, but I don't know whether we've got another word for what she's doing. I think stalker probably is a catch-all for that kind of obsessive behaviour.
What was Justin's word for it? You're the weirdo.
Weirdo fangirl. No, he said you're the crazy fangirl.
You're the crazy fangirl who was sending donuts. it was like the donuts was the main accusation. I was like, but why did you send donuts? I was like, where did that come from?
That was actually the best bit that she did. I mean, to be honest, the rest of it was a little bit, but yeah, I guess the donuts were sent to his house. I think that was the because the photo was sent to the garage, wasn't it? She drew that piece of art and sent that to the garage. The donuts turned up at the house, And that's when they thought they'd got a problem, because that is weird.
Yeah.
Somebody you don't know sending you stuff, and how did
Yeah.
they get your address and all that stuff. And now we know how she got it, because obviously her dad lives there. But it's
Yeah.
still a little bit weird. I mean, if it's normal, why didn't she put a name on it? Because they'd know who she was.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is true. She's tried to hide it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that sort of means that she knows it's wrong. She knows she's out of order by concealing it. And just Theo doesn't want to cause any drama, does he? Either he doesn't want. He knows things are bad already between Ava and Justin, and he doesn't want to make it even worse. Or that's his excuse anyway.
Yeah.
Or that's his reasoning at the time, should I say? Now, Leah's cottoned on, so she's butted in, hasn't she? Like she does, and she's like, "Let me deal with it. I'll talk to him." And you're like, "Don't just let him work it out." But she does, and she is the one that shows the scrapbook to Justin, who then has this sort of epiphany moment. Where he's like joining the dots, isn't he?
Yeah.
To coin a lyric song. A new lyric song.
I've got an apology to make to you now, because when we looked at First Look last week and I read it out and I said Justin's heart breaks over Ava's obsession or something, and you said, oh, because he realizes that that's the reason why she came back to the bay. She didn't come to see her dad, she came back to see Theo, and that's going to upset him. And I thought it was just because he's found out his daughter's a bit of a weirdo. And I didn't really think that he'd go down there, because it's quite a selfish thing to think, isn't it? Like, oh, it's not, she didn't come to see me, she came to see Theo. And I thought, he's not that petty, is he? Or that, but he is. You were absolutely right. Because that is what he said to Leah. He was like, oh, so that's why she's back. She didn't come to see me, she came to see Theo. It's all been about Theo the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't quite think it was going to pan out that way. I just thought it would be a bit like, not woe is me, but like, because if you remember, she said to him something like, "You were never there for us as a kid." Like, you're an awful person. When she was lashing out at him, and I thought that's going to play on a man's mind. And then, for him, having Ava come up to see him, she's obviously she'd had an argument with her mum or whatever. Things aren't great with her mum, so to him, she's turned to him, and like that's all he's ever wanted. And obviously, we know. He wasn't not there in her early life out of choice.
No.
He was in witness protection. He wasn't. He couldn't for everyone's safety, for his whole family's safety. It wasn't because he was a deadbeat dad who didn't care. So I sort of felt a bit for him, and then I thought he is going to feel for himself a bit. He's going to feel sorry for himself, because. All he wants is his daughter to accept him. And so it didn't quite go down the way I thought it was going to.
He's still right, though. He was still right that he was gutted that it was about Theo and not about him. And I gave Justin a bit too much benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah, it is Justin.
It is.
Now, he confronts her, doesn't he, with this. And she denies it. She's all over it. She's got an answer for everything, this one.
I know. Manipulative. So young as well. So readily able to lie and make those lies sound convincing. It's quite scary.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so he sort of says, well, if I put this scrapbook in the bin, then, you won't mind. No, go for it. And of course she's going to say no. Thought, she's lifting that thing out when you're not looking.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't get that as a scene, actually, in the middle of the night, creeping out in the dark and lifting it out of the bin.
It's yet to come.
Yeah,
be in there. Her and Flick will be in there looking for her empties, a vodka, and
yeah. Oh dear.
I've got to put the bin out after this.
I will remind you.
So he sort of basically warns her, do not blow it, and we were sort of left there with those. So how long are you putting down? How long do you reckon until she slips back to her old, we'll call it stalking ways?
Oh, good question. I mean, next week I'm expecting the Diggy Dean.
Is
I
he?
keep is Diggy is he? I'm going to call him Diggy. I'm expecting the Diggy storyline to blow up and that be next week's drama. So unless this is a sub story, it could be. So it could be, but before Wednesday that we start seeing it again, or we could be the whole week next week on Diggy. I don't know.
I don't think it's going to take long. I think she's just told her dad what he wants to hear to get him off her back. I think she's got no intention of leaving, going back to the city. I don't think she's got any intention of slowing down. I think we're going to see more really weird scenes between her and Kirby. You know, and you were saying, weren't you, about it just being strange that you would tell a child who fancies your adult boyfriend. You were saying that last week, which is really weird. You are right.
It is weird.
I think we're going to see more of that, me. I think she's going to step it up a notch because now she knows Dad's onto her. She's got no idea anybody else knows at this stage. And I think she's going to step it up a gear, personally.
Ooh, I kind of hope so because I kind of want to see. I like an obsessive stalker sort of storyline. I'll be honest. These are the kind of storylines that you get in the Channel 5 afternoon movie, which I love. You know, these really cheesy obsession, a sister's obsession, a wife's obsession. You know, all those cheesy afternoon films. So I do love a genuine like stalker, crazy person story. I do hope it ramps up next week, but I just don't know with the Dean and Ziggy thing whether we're going to get it that quickly. I hope we do, though.
We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out. Well, Flick's off the grog.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And just like that. Great. Flick's off the grog. And Eden says, you need to get back to work, Sorry, well, you need to get on working why, why you drank, not, you're not drinking. I mean, it's great, but like, why did you start drinking in the first place? I'm thinking she was literally telling everybody, like, it makes her forget. Like, where were you, girl? You know, if we knew it, you definitely should have known it. And then they bump
doing
in.
anything about it, is she? That's the problem. Like, we all know why she's drinking, but she's not getting help, is she?
Yeah, and she's only stopped drinking because she got pulled over, and breathalyzed, and banned from driving. Like it's sort of given her a bit of a kick up the arse. But that's the only reason why she stopped. I think she'd have carried on if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so the spiral's still within her. This spiral that's happening, and this is her now. You remember on first look, it was like a bit like she's trying to pull it together or something like that. And this is her trying to slap the makeup on and crack on with the day, like paint over the cracks a bit. And they bump into Tane then, and that just sort of knocks her for six. It has this really negative effect. She then, legs it off, doesn't she? She then tries to do a shift at Salt. She's in a foul mood with everybody. He, at the same time, is sort of in the foul mood with everybody his side, and he's got all this stuff going on with Nick wanting to leave, and he's in this mad mood. He's slamming cupboards, and he's, he's in a mood himself because she just run off on him when she saw him. And she starts doing this whole, is she having panic attacks, or is she's doing this head, breathing panicky thing in the stock cupboard? Is she having panic attacks?
I think that is a panic attack, isn't it? Yeah, where you just like you feel like you can't catch your breath. But it might be an anxiety attack, 'cause they're quite similar. But it's definitely something she should be going to the doctors to talk about and say,
I agree. Yeah.
I'm having these episodes where I'm not feeling in control and I'm panicking and I feel like I can't breathe, and that is something that you can get help for, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cash and Eden come in and catch her in there, and immediately she's like, denial. I'm not touching any booze, like, because that's what Cash is going to think. She's in there swigging, and and I know it's awful, but you do judge that kind of thing, and you would think that, and whether we should or shouldn't, it's a debate for another day. But you could see it on Cash's face. He was a bit like, quickly open the door, catch her. She runs outside. and she's all apologetic. She's like you say, catching that sea air and catching her breath, and very apologetic. I know what I've been. I've been awful lately. Thanks for everything. And I'm really sorry. I'm making you and Eden spend more time together. And Cash is like, well, I don't really mind it actually. It's not as bad as you think. Obviously, it's not that bad or something. He says, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's like, do you want to ask me how Tane has been? And she's like, he hates me. I hate me too. She's just proper down on herself. She's acknowledged that numbing and forgetting with the booze isn't working. So she needs to get to this point where she's realizing that she requires a bit of help from a professional, doesn't she? I think.
Yeah.
She can't get past that crash. She needs to go and talk or get some, like you say, medical help as well.
Yeah, she needs to talk it through, or there's loads of things that they can probably do with her. We need Dr. Logan back. Dr. Logan would be diagnosing PTSD and all sorts and getting on a path to back to normal, wouldn't he? But
daily pill, block it out. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. But even with Dr. Logan she's got to seek that help. And she's not yet at a stage where she is doing. I think it'll come soon. There's a gorgeous moment because obviously throughout all this, Lyric is gearing up to come back with a gig at Salt. That's why Flick's so busy at Salt, working the Lyric gig on her own without Mac knowing what state she's in lately. Never mind.
Yeah.
And and Flicks, she's taking too much on. She shouldn't be there, in my opinion. She definitely shouldn't be around the booze. I'm not saying she's.
It's been a day. She's saying I'm off the grog, but she was saying, "Oh, I've forgotten what it feels like to wake up with a clear head." So that's the first day that she's not. She's made it through one. I mean, that's good. It's great that she's made it through that one day, but it's only one day. It's only since yesterday that she had a drink. So it's not. Yeah, like you say, it's not believable that she goes back to work, works in a restaurant, in a bar full of booze.
I know.
On her own, stressed out. Yeah.
And I suppose this is where we talk about, was she dependent on the alcohol? I'm not sure this is the way we're going with it.
No, I think I couldn't get there myself either, because when she got pulled over for the DUI, I know it was in the morning because it wasn't first thing, but it was like mid-morning, I think we were supposed to believe. When she got pulled over, they said low level over the limit, didn't they? So she wasn't like absolutely off her face. Yeah, but
she had been swigging bottles of like a hip flask and all sorts. But how she was on a low level?
Yeah, but was it literally just like a little tiny sip every time something triggered a memory, or I don't know? In which case, is she just having like not even a shot glass worth every hour? I don't know. How much was she actually drinking? How much are we supposed to think that she was? I don't know.
Yeah, and how dependent on it was she? Or because she says herself, when she had a drink, it blocked. She passed out basically. It blocked it. It blocked the memory of it, because she keeps saying, doesn't she? I feel like I'm back there with the flames and the, and the car and the accident and everything. I feel like I'm back there. So she's got that trauma still, and the drinking was just making her go to sleep. Probably, she's probably up all night. All she can think about is consuming all her thoughts, and that made her go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think we're at an alcoholic stage where she can't be around drink anymore, like dry house like Irene. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
And I'm glad we're not going down that route, but at least what we're supposed to be taking from this is it's not all your answers.
Yes.
It's only a temporary. You wake up again and you remember again. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think we've got that message loud and clear now. Yeah. I think we now need to see her go and, like you say, go and see someone, go and talk about it, and try and move past it. This Lyric gig gets underway tonight, and there's a gorgeous scene because Tane's there being cheered up because Neek's left town, and he's on the balcony again with the beer, and she goes out to him, doesn't she? And he's like, "I'm gonna go," because she threw him out last time.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm leaving.
And now this again, when we talk about the kind of man Tane is and what a gorgeous bloke he is inside and out, is what such a bigger person he is than her.
Yeah.
Because he says you look, it's nice to see you back in charge. You know what I mean? It really is nice to see, given the way she's been with him, and everything he's going through. He's still got time to say something nice to her.
I just don't think he's got a bad bone in his body, has he? He doesn't want to make anyone feel crap. That's one of the nice things about Tane. Like, he knows what it's like to feel awful, and I don't think he wants anyone else to feel like that. That's the impression I get from his character. He just wants everyone else to be, because he is that kind of head of the family. He wants everyone else to be happy, doesn't he? I mean, aside from this week with Nico, where he's had a bit of a blank on the whole Bella thing because of how he's feeling, but generally, he'd put anybody before himself. I think that's his
downfall,
character.
actually.
Yeah, he doesn't put himself first, does he? Ever.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of his flaws, really. And I just thought, if there's a chance for them to, it's because of what he's just told her.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe Nick's last words to him were ringing in his back of his mind somewhere.
Yes, it's never too
Never
late.
too late.
It's true, isn't it? It's never too late.
So I just thought everything's sort of coming full circle there. We'll watch this space. But I did enjoy that scene between them. Yeah. And this gig we'll mention briefly, because Remy's panicking about sort of getting Brie back on side, isn't he? And his hands out of the cast. He's had that thumbs up. He's gone playing with the band a bit early. He's struggling to get through the set. And he and Brie have another nice moment themselves where she's going to get some ice from the juice bar for his hand. And that's probably all I've got to say about them. But the main thing, unless you've got anything to add, is that makes this song that Eden's been writing. We know Eden's got her memory back, don't we? But she's she's been sat on them for a couple of weeks now, and she's yet to tell Cash about them. And this sort of forces her to have a split-second decision to perform this song. And this song is all about the memories back, and she loves him. And he's in the room, he's there and he's listening. She's singing it. She's singing her heart out to him. Very well, might I say.
Amazing. Lovely voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Theo who? Bob who?
I know. Why didn't she audition when they had, when they were looking for a lead singer? Why did we have to go through all that rigmarole to get Theo when it could have been Eden? Madness.
And she can write better songs. That song's well good.
I'm not being. I think I tweeted that tonight. I was like, "This is better than any song that Lyric have ever done." And it's all Eden. She's brilliant.
I loved it. Yeah, it was a much better song. And I think her voice is great. If that is her voice,
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know whether it was a miming, but if that is her voice, it's amazing.
Whosever voice it is, bravo.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, wasn't it? And
really good.
When I was talking to you and Mac, wasn't I, the other week on the pod, I was like, I love this slow burn and I just want them to get together, and I'm well into this. And then she runs outside and it's dark and there's all the lights of the bay behind him. And it's, you remember, don't you? Yeah, I remember everything. And then the kiss under the stars.
Yeah. We needed that, didn't we? I think.
We did.
If it had gone on any longer, I think I would have gone right off the boil and just been like, because I was already feeling a bit like, I don't care anymore. Just get together or don't get together. Just write me a post-it note and tell me what happened. But I'm glad we're there now, or hopefully, unless it all goes to shit next week.
Yeah. You never know. You actually never know. And one thing we also supposed to mention, so Marley was giving Elandra a bit of a big tour of the bay, wasn't she? Wasn't he? Yeah, remember that? That was right at the beginning of the week.
I forgot about that.
And she's impressed, there's a board shop, and even though Hinky Dinky Bill's got one, why did he not work at that one?
Sorry. Monterey Point, Simon. Monterey
That's it. Can never remember it.
Dinky Bill. You paint a picture, that's for sure. Oh,
and Rose and Xander sort of see them, and there's this weird discussion then, very weird. It's why is your sister even getting involved, let alone talking in this way, and basically talking like his mum.
Yeah,
actually, like very parental.
Mum of a child. It's not even like his mum. It's like his mum from like 10 years ago when he was a teen. He's not a kid.
Yeah.
Is he?
No,
This is really odd.
No. And what we know so far, they're a big, close family. She's been volunteered to drive the 2 hours to find out what on earth he's up to and why he's not telling him he's moved him out.
I can see why now.
I can. I was about to say, yeah, run a mile. 2 hours isn't enough.
It's not enough. Plane journey.
There needs to be an ocean involved.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I can see why I didn't want to have the conversation. Imagine having that conversation with her. I'm thinking of leaving. No, you're not. You're not leaving. No. He wouldn't have got a word in edgeways, would he? No wonder he just legged it.
No, I know. He couldn't. We're saying, I don't think he's told his family. And we're like, he hasn't told his family. What's he playing at? Actually, I can see why now.
Yeah.
This is like that. Do you want to told you that? Did I ever tell you that story? I went to Paris and didn't tell Mum till I was there.
Yeah.
There was no way she was going to let me go.
Yes, you did tell me, you rebel. Yes. How old were you?
This is like that. 16. So I completely know where he's coming from.
Yeah.
There's no way them lot would have let him. And he's a grown man,
He is, yeah.
Like, let the guy live his life. And she's decided that the Summer Bay is not too bad. There's a lot going on for it. The locals are friendly. He seems to have got his feet under the table. Everyone's saying hi, on this tour. And but yeah, they bumped into Xander. She's like, yeah, we've met. Oh, yeah, I know Rose. She took off from the caravan park like her pants were on fire after she put them back on, which I thought was like line of the week.
It was a good line, but oh my God, like
completely out of order.
Shaming her, essentially. And
that's not actually true.
To her brother as well, in front of her own brother. It was just awful.
They're another weird brother-sister dynamic.
They are. Yeah.
I just shuddered down my back.
I shuddered. The idea of talking about my sex life with my brother is just so weird. And to watch these lot do it, it's like, it gives me the creeps. Yeah.
And she insists on going for lunch on her own with Rose.
And
weird. Gets the grilling. She just passed the grilling, I think. Does Rose?
The grilling was weird. Like she said, literally they've had like 3 dates and she spent one night with him or half a night with him, however long it was supposed to be. And her sister's saying, oh, so you two could get serious. There's been 3 dates, love.
I know.
Serious? We haven't even labelled it yet. We haven't even got girlfriend, boyfriend yet, have we? I don't think
we have. No, she's ridden him in a caravan. Jesus Christ. Love is, didn't they say love's dead? Romance is dead.
That's the title of Lyric's new song out on May the 5th.
Pre-save it. Ridden in a caravan. I'm sorry. But there's no way, is there? I'd be like, on your bike, kid.
I would. I'd be like, fucked him once, I've been on 3 dates. This is not serious. Oh, sorry. Is it just me?
No. It's not just you.
Oh, dear.
And then there's this, oh, it's not so bad here, I'll come and visit you and I'll drive up and down the coast and let me stay, please let me stay. Well, I'm fine with it, but there's only one problem, mum. Like, oh, so there is a mum, so then why are you here playing mum? Like, what the hell's going on?
Don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it either. No idea. I guess we're going to find out. I guess this family's going to turn up at some point, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, let's hope they're not after a caravan. Thin walls.
Oh, God. Yeah.
God, I've just got visions of him going to the shower block at night. Oh,
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's my brother. Go on, kid.
Uh-oh, no, go to the stands. Go somewhere nice. Yeah.
Very, very weird.
Yeah, not good. I mean, I quite like the look of this sister. Like, if she wasn't ranting and raving, like the scenes that she had where they were just walking along and he was talking about the bay and she wasn't being so possessive and strange. She seemed all right in those scenes, but I mean, I wouldn't be annoyed if she was sticking around and we found out more about it. But I do think it's a bit, like you say, there's too many questions right now about why she's treating him like this,
Yeah.
What do you think of her?
And yeah, same. And I was waiting for her to turn on Rose the same way he did. Does she know Rose is a copper? Like,
oh,
I was looking for it, thinking, because then I'm starting to piece together if there's something family.
Oh, good point. Yes.
What's the reason?
Yeah, if she does stick around, she will see her in a uniform eventually, won't she? Because she's not been at work, I don't think, in any of the scenes that we've seen.
Yep, and I'm going to microscopically be looking at that reaction of hers when she finds out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good one. Yeah, I forgot all about that. So thanks for the reminder, because I'll be looking for that as well now. Like, ooh,
oh well,
uniform.
You're welcome.
Okay, now it's time for the segment that we call Your Say on the Bay. And the reason we call it that is because we look at what viewers have been saying about Home and Away this week on social media. And this is your chance to have your say about all things Home and Away. So if you want to get involved, you can join the conversation on Twitter. We've got a Twitter account, which is Coastal News Pod. And we tweet along with the 6:30 first look episode that airs on 5 Star in the UK. We use the Home and Away hashtag on Twitter and we look at what people are saying about the show. And we also look at comments on Facebook as well. But if you're not on social media and you're dying to get something off your chest, you can also email us coastalnewspod@gmail.com. So come and talk to us, because we love hearing your thoughts and opinions, don't we? We want to hear from you. You don't want to just hear our voices every week. We want to hear what you've got to say about the show as well. Don't we?
We do.
We do, definitely. So this week we're going to talk about Nico, or according to John Palmer, the best lifeguard Summer Bay has ever had. Now,
hang on a minute,
John. Your memory is not as long as ours. You weren't here when we had Vinnie Patterson and all these other lifeguards that I could name. But yeah, according to John, the best lifeguard Summer Bay has ever had. So yeah, he's left this week, Nico, on the UK pace of the show. He's left. He's gone to New York with Bella, and we've just been talking on the main episode about that, haven't we? About how that's a nice kind of conclusion, give us our closure that we've been waiting for, really, for them since that awful video call last year that we weren't very happy with. So I think we're happy that this is concluded, haven't we, in this way? So.
Yeah, and I think we needed to see it, sort of get that closure for Bella as well. She left in a rush herself, didn't she?
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was good. I feel a bit sad for the character in the sense that we didn't get many goodbye scenes, because it was just literally he came home, his bag was packed for him, and he was in the car the next minute and gone. So he hasn't had the goodbye to everybody, has he? He hasn't said goodbye to like Marilyn or the diner ladies or Ziggy and Dean. He's not said goodbye to them. So it's a bit sad in a way.
it's just come to me. There was a scene missing.
Mm,
You know, he's gone in the car with Tani to
mm.
go and find Bella before she makes it to the airport.
Yeah.
And on the way past the beach, he needed to stop.
Oh,
Uncle,
yeah.
stop the car. Uncle, stop. Gets out
Yes.
the car, looks out at sea and goes, between the flags. One last time. Gets back in the car and then carries on.
Well, you raise a good point, actually, because who's tending the beach if John
Well-
and Nico are in the car heading to the airport? Who's looking after the beach? Yeah. Gosh,
They're
people
going to be
could be
swimming way outside of those flags, aren't they?
people are going to be in serious trouble. Xander's going
Yeah,
to be rushed off his feet. Gosh.
Everybody in those rips.
Yeah, get out the rip. You're a middle-aged man, not an Iron Man. That was my favourite line from John. I don't know who wrote that line, but I loved it. Oh dear. Sidetracking. Sorry, it's me. So I'm
No, it was me, but yeah, go on.
I love talking about Home and Away. I can't stop it. Back to topic, Sophie. So yes, so we've seen Nico leave. So I thought what we do, we're gonna look through some comments from people talking about the Nico conclusion. But I thought before that, because he's left, let's just have a recap of, you know, everything that's happened to Nico since he's been in the show, and just remind ourselves about the J word, the journey that character's had. So
yeah, okay.
Bear with us while I do that. So can you believe, because I was looking at this earlier, can you believe that he landed in the show in 2020? It's only been 3 years that we've had Nico.
No.
I thought it was longer
That's
than
gone
that.
fast.
It has gone fast. So yeah, we first met Nico in 2020 when he moved to Summer Bay with his mum, Gemma, who's no longer in the show either. She's gone back to, she went back ages ago, didn't she, to New Zealand. And then obviously he moved with Uncle Ari as well, because the storyline, I don't think we knew the storyline at the time. I think this came out later, but Nico's father had died about 6 months before they got to the Bay because he'd been shot by police during an armed robbery. And Ari had only just come out of prison, hadn't he? For a robbery as well. So
That's right, and he was looking for work, wasn't he? He was struggling.
He was struggling to find some work, and they were struggling. They had money problems, and they were trying to keep a low profile, weren't they? When they first came to the Bay, they weren't really getting to know people, and I think it was because they were living under that cloud of, you know, the Nico's dad being killed in that armed robbery, and then now Ari also being in prison for quite a long time for robbery as well. So they were keeping a low profile to start with. And yeah, he was just looking for work, wasn't he, Ari, and asking around for jobs when they first arrived, I think.
Yeah. And struggling to find it. No, nobody would take.
Yeah,
there's no jobs in the Bay, is there? You know.
No.
Was he getting like random building jobs or something, and they were falling through? I can't remember now.
Construction, didn't he? Because he's wearing a high-vis jacket for quite a while at the beginning. Do you remember? That was like his uniform. And I think he was working in construction.
Really clean.
Yeah, really clean boots and a high-vis jacket. So that's what we were supposed to think. And like you say, they were newbies to the Bay. They weren't really that friendly to start with, were they? Because they were hiding all these secrets and being a bit closed off. They were sleeping in their car, that we found out later on. So they were really hard up with money and that kind of thing. So people didn't really sort of take to them, I think, at first. They didn't really welcome them.
Only one.
Yeah. And that was after another bit of storyline we'll talk about in a minute. Low profile in the beginning. The low profile to start with, not very low profile since then, I'd say, because we've had a lot of drama with the Paratas, haven't we? They haven't been able to keep that low profile and keep out of people's radar and all that kind of thing since they've arrived. So I'm going to talk about some of the storylines that Nico's been involved with. So the first sort of major storyline that Nico was involved with was, do you remember that girl called Jade that was I think she was dating Ryder, and then they slept together and she filmed it, and then she accused him of putting it online. Do you remember all of that storyline?
She slept with Nico?
No, slept with Ryder. Jade slept with Ryder and she filmed them, and then she accused Ryder of filming it and putting it online, but actually she'd done it. Do you
I don't
remember any?
remember that.
Do you
No.
not?
Let me
Because
let me have a look at her face. Go on, you keep
because
going.
that was the first time that Nick became involved in a sort of storyline himself, because he came across them having an argument or something about this, because she said she'd been spreading these lies around saying he'd unbeknownst to her, he'd filmed them having sex and put it on the internet or whatever, and Ryder was like, no, I didn't, you're lying.
Oh yes, I remember her.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do now. I've just seen a picture of her.
I think Ryder and Jade were having an argument, and Nico came along and kind of was like, what's going on? He didn't really know them, but he kind of came along and was like, there's a girl being shouted at by a lad here, kind of doing the knight in shining armor thing, and obviously took Ryder's side. I mean, why wouldn't you? You wouldn't assume that the girl had filmed herself and put it online, would you? You would assume that she was telling the truth, rightly or wrongly. And he became involved with Jade, but then when Nico started dating Jade, he realised that Jade wasn't all there, and she had done this to Ryder and she had set him up. And I think it was him that found the video.
Yeah,
he found the video on Jade's phone and took it to Ryder and said, "You're right, she did it, she filmed it. It wasn't, she's framing you essentially." So I think that was the first time we saw Nico get involved with a storyline. And then the second one was the hospital siege, which was actually an Ari storyline.
Yeah.
Because Ari was injured, I think, or he'd had an accident or something. He was injured. He was at the hospital on the day of the siege, and he was there, and he crossed paths with Marilyn, didn't he?
He did.
Because they were all being held at gunpoint. This was when Mason died, wasn't it? Back then, because he was killed.
Gosh. Oh gosh, that feels like a lifetime ago now.
It does, but it's only 3 years. Yeah, it's mad.
I remember. Do you know what I think makes the timeline a bit squiffier in our memory? Because in 2020 we only had 2 episodes a week most of the year.
Oh God, yeah, you're right. Yes, yeah.
So I think that makes it feel a bit longer than it actually was. Yeah, okay, yeah, because I remember thinking at the time there that old Maz might be run off with Ari.
Yeah, they were very, I wouldn't say flirty, but they were very friendly, weren't they?
They had a connection, didn't they?
They did,
yeah.
And John didn't like this at all. So that's how Ari and Marilyn got together, because he kind of protected her at the hospital, didn't he? And like took her under his wing, and like,
because she really struggled with that.
She did, and she was terrified at the time, but afterwards she struggled as well, didn't she, with like the memory of it and what they went through, and obviously with Mason and all, just awful. So she did get close with the family, not just with Ari, but she got close with Gemma and Nico as well. And she's the one that finds out that they're sleeping in their car, isn't she? And she says, I can't believe you've been doing this. She starts giving them like food, doesn't she, from the diner, and then invites them to come and stay with her and John. And John's absolutely livid at this, isn't he? Because he's already had a run-in with Ari, I think, at this point. Got off on the wrong foot with him, and now Marilyn's really close with this guy, so it's really rubbed him up the wrong way. That was.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'd forgotten about all this.
And
I really miss 2019, 2018, 2020 cast. I'm not dissing what we've got now, but I don't know. I think Bella being back as well this week's made me a bit nostalgic about this period. And I've realised how much I was proper into all these lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just reminds you what we used to have, I guess.
And Robbo was here still, and
yeah, definitely.
Jasmine.
Everybody, yeah. And then eventually Nico meets Bella anyway, so they end up together, don't they?
The illiterate.
Illiterate Bella. I think it takes them a while to actually get together. I think there's a little bit of, I like him, he likes me. I think it took a while for them to actually get together. There was a bit of that going on, but they did get together eventually. And one of the things that I am actually grateful for Nico for is he's kind of the reason why Tane came to the Bay, because I remember when Ari and Nick. Remember at the beginning, Ari and Nick used to butt heads quite a lot, because obviously Nico just lost his dad, and now his uncle was kind of like his new father figure. But Nico was like struggling, wasn't he? And you know that power struggle and everything else. And they were both quite similar, and I think they kind of rub each other up the wrong way.
Yeah.
And they used to butt heads, didn't they? So after one argument, I can't remember what it was about. I think Nico just took off and went to this mysterious uncle in the city. I'm going to go away for a few days and stay with Uncle Tane. And then Tane came back, didn't he, to the bay with Nico in tow. And that's when we first see Tane. Tane was a bit shifty. Do you remember back in the day? He was a bit. He used to turn
nothing
up.
was by the book.
No, he'd turn up with like a big black holdall full of money and like, you know, don't ask where I got this from and that kind of thing. And he'd just be dishing out money to Ari because Ari was still struggling to find a job, still struggling to find work and everything else.
Don't worry about the rent.
Yeah,
I've covered it.
Well, he rented that house, didn't he? The one that they live in now, the Parata house, Casa Parata. He rented that initially, didn't he, for them?
Yeah.
And then he moved in with them eventually. So, yeah, I am grateful to Nico for that, for bringing Tani into my life. Thank you, Nico. What else happened back then? So,
is that Nico's legacy, Tani?
For me, yes. I mean, I also blame him for bringing Chloe into my life, but I do thank him for bringing Tani into my life. So there we go. Do you remember when around this time there was an intruder that broke into the diner?
Mm-hmm.
And because Nico was dating Bella at the time, and it was an on-off relationship, and Colby was obviously Bella's brother, very overprotective of her, and he's a cop. Colby immediately blamed Nico for breaking into the diner, didn't he? He said it's definitely you, but they had absolutely no evidence of this. But he just didn't like him, so he was like, "It's you."
This is unresolved. Actually, this is a cold case.
It is. We don't know who it was, do we?
Because he also kidnapped Tori's kid.
He definitely does do that.
Well, he stole the car.
He stole the car because he I think he'd been forced to go for a lineup, hadn't he? I think Colby had said it's definitely you, but I need to prove it. Marched him down to Yabby Creek PD, got him in a lineup. It wasn't identified, so we still don't know who it was. I don't think the intruder. He wasn't identified.
I mean, it was Nick, wasn't it? But like nothing was ever proved.
I don't think we've ever seen it. No, I don't think we've ever had the conclusion of that. But
we joke online on forums about that.
Do we?
Like the great diner break-in that was never like it's a bit of a running joke, online.
God.
that was never resolved.
I don't think it was, but you're right. What happened in the aftermath of that was he stole a car, didn't he? We stole Tori's car to try and run away from the bay, but didn't realise that Grace, the baby, was in the back seat. So inadvertently also kidnapped a baby while stealing this car. And who did he go running to? Who did he go running to when he realised the baby was in the back seat? Went running to Uncle Tane to rescue him, who helped him put Grace back on the doorstep of the house, the Morgan house where Justin and Leah live. They just dumped the baby there and hoped someone would find her, and luckily they did.
This program's nuts.
It is nuts, and that kicked off like a huge thing between Colby and the Paratas then, didn't it? Because Colby was gunning for Nico. He actually didn't like any of the Paratas because he kind of knew that they were dodgy. They'd got, Tane and Ari had been caught up in things. Obviously, Nico's dad had been caught up in that robbery that he got killed in. They'd had run-ins with drug dealers, and Colby knew all of this, and he didn't want Bella having anything to do with it. So, there was a lot of stuff going on there. So, do you remember when they were planning to take Nico's dad's ashes back to New Zealand on the first anniversary of his death and have like I can't remember what the word was, but they were having like some kind of, not, I suppose anniversary is the only thing I can think of, but 1 year anniversary of his death.
Yeah, and they were taking him home, weren't they?
Yeah,
to his motherland.
They'd got something planned, hadn't they? Something special planned when there was like some ceremony going to happen, and they were at the airport. I think this might have been the last time we were at the airport actually, because we saw this. They were at the airport, and Gemma went through security, and then we found out that Colby had put a block on the passports of Ari, Tane, and Nico, and they couldn't go. So that's when we saw Gemma go off to New Zealand, and the rest of them had to stay in the bay, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that kicked off a whole storyline about the Paratas versus Colby.
Sad times.
And do you remember eventually, I think, didn't they run away? Didn't Nico and Bella run away? They ran off to some mountains. Do you remember?
The Blue Mountains. They
Yeah,
did.
they ran off somewhere.
That's right. Yes,
And they spent the night together. And then I think, was that the day that Bella told Nico about Colby killing her dad? Because not long after that, Nico managed to sort of get away with everything because he essentially blackmailed Colby and said, well, I know you killed Bella's dad.
Oh, that's right. This was well juicy, this.
Yeah.
So, she opened up to Nico, much to Colby's.
Yeah, because he was very much keep it in the family, just you and me, Dean. I think that's only 3 people that knew.
Yeah, and Colby was getting in out of his depth, like, in over his head, should I say. He was making decisions and breaking rules that he never would have done. And, he was struggling to keep a lid on it because, he'd done this terrible thing.
Yeah, as a cop as well.
Yeah, and only Dean knew.
Yeah, and Dean was really struggling, wasn't he? Because
Nick ended up being quite essential to that in the end.
He did, because he ended up blackmailing Colby essentially and just saying, leave my family alone. I know you're a murderer and I'll keep quiet if you leave us alone. So that was quite a thing.
He's done some things, hasn't he, lad?
He has. I mean, I do, like I say, I thank him for bringing Tani into my life. I don't thank him for bringing Chloe into my life. Because he is the reason Chloe and Mia came to the Bay, because at some point he went off to New Zealand and he came back with his cousin Chloe, who also then came back with Mia, her mum. So he was the reason why they turned up. But he has had some good storylines. The modelling storylines, remember that one where he became an Instagram famous model overnight?
Is he still waiting for that Uber?
Maybe.
Because that Uber never arrived, did it? It was taking ages.
It didn't. No, it took absolutely, like you say, an absolute age. And he cheated on Bella, didn't he, with that Sienna, Sienna. There's an evil Sienna on Hollyoaks, and there's an evil Sienna in Home and Away as well. So that was obviously the end of their relationship for a while as we knew it, because Bella and Nick 1.0, and then Bella and Nick. Are we on Bella and Nick 3.0 now? I think we are.
If not more, yeah.
If not more. And he was in the car accident with Dean, wasn't he? When Dean went off the road.
Oh, Ripper Rim.
The CGI kangaroo.
That was another disappearing act of Nick's.
Yes.
They've gone to pick him up, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they had. Yes, I think it was, wasn't it? Was he? Oh, didn't he go and do something embarrassing to Bella in the city? Did he turn up at her exhibition drunk or something?
Something like that. He ended up in the middle of nowhere, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the hotel was shut.
That was it. He was looking for somewhere to stay, and then he ended up ringing home and said, "Oh, can you come and get me?" And I think it was Mia and Dean, wasn't it, that came and got him? And then on the way back, Dean crashed the car because Mia was in the car at the time, and she was pregnant, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh.
And he got catapulted out of the car. And he did like a bit of a roly-poly in the grass.
He did, yeah.
That was such a good crash, as crashes
go. It was
go.
good. Yeah, well, and I like the aftermath of the crash as well. That's when we met Dr. Logan and he came in on his helicopter and rescued everybody.
His chopper.
I loved that whole thing. I mean, it's awful, isn't it, to love a car crash? But
chopper.
It was a great watch, wasn't it? It was a great watch. And then I guess more recently, everyone will remember these because it's in the last year, really, being that rock for Tane when Tane got poisoned in the gym last year when he was being stalked by Anne. And do you remember he was very, very defensive and protective of Tane at the time, and he really didn't like Flick at the beginning because he was so convinced that Flick was that stalker, leaving the roses on the doorstep and on the car and leaving those notes for Tane, and he was really anti-Flick. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot of stuff that Nico's gone through, and obviously he's become a lifeguard. he's gone through that whole storyline with Chloe's dad, where Ari, took the blame for what Chloe did. Chloe killed her dad, and Ari took the blame for that. Then Ari's death, and then spending time with Tane, with the Tayaha and all of those storylines, which were just great. And those scenes with the hacker at the funeral, and been involved in all of that, hasn't he, really? So he's been through so much, Nico, since the finish.
Yes, he's packed a lot in these 3 years, to be fair. Now you've laid it all out.
Yeah, and that's not even mentioning the tech stuff and the Heather stuff, because that's fairly recent in everyone's mind, isn't it? All of that stuff that went down. So he's done a lot in the Bay. So it is the end of an era, like you said earlier, not just for Nico, but obviously for the whole Parata family. The last man standing. So it's a big deal that he's gone, really, isn't it?
It is.
So,
it is.
yeah.
Regardless of where he was in your list, if you like. If everyone's got a list of people they love and people they don't love so much and all the rest of it. People regardless of where he was, I don't think you can deny that he was quite an important character, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to hear what people have been saying online about Nick?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's Nick and Bella, really, because obviously they've both gone together. But generally, I don't know whether you've seen anything negative. I've seen a lot of positive stuff about this, about the conclusion to the storyline of Nick and Bella. A lot of people saying they're really happy that it concluded in this way. And a lot of people upset that they're gone, and a lot of people were quite pleased to see Bella back, and now are sad that she's going again. We're kind of getting that same feeling that Nick had, when he said it's really hard to say goodbye to her again. I think that's being felt across the audience as well, that it's quite hard to see Bella leave again.
That's nice, isn't it? That it's an overwhelming majority, generally this, what we feel is generally the way everyone's gone. That is nice, because it's good for the characters to finish on such a high.
Yeah.
How often do characters leave soaps in the complete opposite way?
Under a cloud.
Yeah,
absolutely hated, and thank God they've left and all that kind of thing. But no, there's been an outpouring of love, really, for everybody. So I went over to have a look at what people were saying on the Home and Away UK page on Facebook first. And Val said going to miss them. Angeline said bring him and Bella back. Let the band go instead. Oh dear. Angeline, not a fan of the band. Kerry Ann says happy they're together, but I'm really going to miss Nico. Helen said pleased for them. Glad they can finally be together. Another one saying really sad to see Nico go. He's one of my faves. Glad they got a happy ending. That was Kate. Loved the genuine emotions between Tane and Nico. It made me cry. That's from Severine. Yeah, absolutely. So, it was emotional, wasn't it? Happy
I
for
agree.
them both.
And, we were talking about that scene where Tane is waiting for him to get home with the passport, and it sort of passed you by, the emotion of that scene, didn't it? Because you were analysing it. But to me, that was the most powerful scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's them two, and the way they performed it. I think obviously when you actors and you're acting in a family, you sort of create a bit of chemistry there.
Yeah.
That I think is tangible sometimes. Yeah. When you're watching it.
Yeah, it must feel real that you're calling someone your brother or your uncle or your nephew every day.
Yeah, and then
at some point your brain starts to believe that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're spending God knows how many hours with these people. Now they're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you're saying bye, you really are, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, they're really leaving. I mean, they're leaving. It's like when you leave a job, isn't it? And you say goodbye to your colleagues that you've been seeing every day for the last God knows how long, and it does feel like a huge change. And to not see them again the next time you go into work is really weird, isn't it?
Yeah, proper milked at me. Yeah.
It's always sad because I remember leaving a job a few years ago where I was really close to a particular lady that I used to work with, and we used to share an office, just us, and shut the door, and we had such a laugh. Every day we just my cheeks would hurt, my stomach would hurt every night when I went home because I'd be laughing so much with her. She was so much fun. And the day I left, it was like we said it was like a breakup.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we'd spent all that, I spent more time with her than I spent with anybody else, my
Yeah.
family, my friends. And when I left, it was like a breakup. So for these guys as well, in real life, the actors, they must have that same relationship outside of the show as well. So a couple more comments from Facebook. Somebody said the connection between Bella and Nico is undeniable. They go with my blessings and good luck to them.
Aww.
And then one that you'll like. So Dale has put, did Nico break into the diner?
I told you.
We don't know.
Everybody talks about it.
Yeah, we think he did, don't we? But and then we got some comments on Twitter as well. So Angela saying I was
Dale.
not.
That's funny. Sorry.
Bless him. Angela says I was not ready to say goodbye to Bella again. Geraldine says no, Nick and Bella have gone. And there's lots of other people saying they were so good together. Michelle said all the happy ever after that we're looking for, but Tane's little face.
Oh,
poor Tane.
When I talked to you about bittersweet, I was blubbering. Like, I don't know. I'm happy, but I'm also dead sad. I don't know what to do. Like, they've done so well with this exit. I know we were saying it felt a bit quick.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of how it's been executed, I'm happy.
Yes.
That these. They came full circle and left together, and that's the way it should have been first time round.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of undoing that awful way it happened. Undoing that break, god awful FaceTime breakup.
Yeah. Yes. So overall, the comments are really positive. There are a couple of people that were a bit more like me. That scene I said when Tane packed his bags and said off you go, and I was like, hang on a minute, what about the practicalities of this? So there were a couple of people that said hang on, he hasn't called Gemma to say that he's moving across the other side of the world. What? And there's also a couple of people that said
not Marley.
He's not Marley, no. A couple of people also said, can you just go and live in New York from Australia in the space of a day? Like, no arrangements made? How much was his ticket when he bought it on the same day? There's lots of tweets like that as well. So there's a lot of emotional stuff. People saying that, glad to see that they're back together, glad they got the happy ending, will be sad to see them go, end of an era, those kind of texts and messages. But there are some people that thought like me, hang on a minute. How has he even got a ticket? Has he even got a visa? How is this practical? Has he called his mum? Has he told his mother?
In the airport, there's always a sales desk, and you're like, who uses that? People like Nico.
Nico, last minute. Yeah. Last minute.
Let's go there, He's not going to get a seat next to her this late in the day.
He's not.
Where's going to be sat?
It's going to be in the luggage hold.
I'm sorry, sir. We've got one seat left in upper, and it's 12,000 USD.
Oh, God.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.